So, let's talk about something that sounds like it's straight out of a movie. Illegal contracts. But this happens in the real world all the time. What happens when an agreement you make, maybe for a job or a service, actually crosses a legal line? The consequences can be surprisingly severe, and that's exactly what we're going to unpack today.
All right, let's start with a situation you could totally imagine. You've paid someone a chunk of change to do a job, but then you find out the whole thing was illegal from the get-go. The work's been done, your money is gone. Do you have any options? Can you go to a court and get that money back? Well, the answer isn't a simple yes or no, and that's what makes this so interesting.
Okay, so the first thing you have to get is that the law doesn't just lump everything into one big illegal bucket. Nope. There are actually two very different ways an agreement can go wrong. And the crucial difference all comes down to timing. Was it illegal from the very second it was signed, or did it only become illegal because of how things were done later on?
And here they are, those two paths. On one side, you have contracts that are illegal as formed. This is the obvious stuff, right? Like a contract to commit a crime. It's bad from the start. But then on the other side, you have contracts that are illegal as performed. Now, this is where the contract itself could have been perfectly fine, but the way it was carried out broke the law. And believe me, this distinction is everything, because it totally changes how a court is going to deal with the fallout.
All right, let's dive into that first category, and this is the really severe one. Contracts that are illegal as formed. This is the more black and white and honestly more brutal side of the law.
The key word here, the one you really need to pay attention to, is void. In the legal world, that is an incredibly powerful term. It doesn't just mean the contract is broken or canceled. It means the law looks at it and says, this never even happened. It's like it's erased from existence, a total legal nothing.
And because a void contract is treated like it never existed, well, you can probably guess what comes next. The consequences are swift and they are absolute. There's very little room for argument here. The courts take a very firm, hands-off approach.
So here's the bottom line. If a contract was rotten from its core, it's completely void. But look at the next 2 points. That money you paid, you can't get it back. That piece of property you handed over, it's gone. You can't recover it. The court essentially washes its hands of the whole mess and says, you got into an illegal agreement, we're not going to help you clean it up. It's a really strong message. The legal system will not help enforce or untangle deals that were against the law to begin with.
But now, let's switch gears and look at that second, more nuanced category. What happens when a totally fine, totally legal agreement gets messed up by illegal actions while it's being carried out? This is where things get a lot more interesting.
So, in this kind of situation, the goal of the contract could be completely legit, like hiring a contractor to build a deck. But what if that contractor illegally dumps all the construction waste in a protected area, instead of disposing of it properly? See, the agreement to build the deck wasn't illegal, but the performance was. In these cases, the court is way more focused on the illegal actions than on just throwing out the entire agreement. And this quote right here, this is the game changer. Unlike that harsh, absolute, no recovery rule we just talked about, here the court actually has some flexibility. The phrase, lesser remedies may be possible, is key. It means the court might say, okay, we won't enforce the illegal part, but the rest of the deal can stand. Or maybe you'll let one person recover some of their costs. It just depends on who is at fault. There's room to find a fair solution.
Now look, these ideas didn't just appear out of thin air. They were hammered out in real-world legal battles over many years. And to really get how courts handle these illegally performed contracts, it really helps to look at a real case.
This case from Australia's High Court back in 1997 is a huge one. Basically, it involved a landowner who hired a company to drill for water on his property. The problem? The driller didn't get the right government permits before starting the work. So when the bill came, the landowner refused to pay, arguing, hey, you broke the law, so the whole contract is worthless. The court had to decide, does this illegal act of not getting a permit poison the entire deal? Their decision really helped shape the modern, more flexible approach, allowing for those lesser remedies, and in the end, finding that the contract could still be enforced.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground. The two paths to illegality, the very different ways the law treats them. So let's boil it all down to one clear summary. If you're going to remember one thing from this explainer, this is it.
This table makes it super simple. On one side, you have a contract that's illegal as formed. What's its status? Totally void. Game over, and the outcome? No recovery. The door is slammed shut. But on the other side, a contract illegal as performed is potentially salvageable. And the outcome? Lesser remedies are possible. The court has the tools to work out a more just result. That right there is the core of this whole thing.
And that brings us to the final big picture question. This whole distinction we've been talking about, it's not just some boring legal theory.
It has massive, real-world consequences for your money, your property, and your business. It's a pretty powerful reminder that you always have to make sure that not just your agreements but your actions are squarely on the right side of the law.